All right, so let's jump into today's deep dive.
That's good.
We're heading straight to a gold mine, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's the Fran Gold Project, run by North Bay Resources.
Okay.
And they're dealing with some pretty extreme conditions up there.
Like what?
Think 3 degrees Fahrenheit?
Wow, that's cold.
Yeah, not exactly T-shirt weather. But they're pushing forward, just finished this 16-mile winter road
16 miles. What for?
to haul out 120 tons of gold ore.
So they're already pulling out gold.
Oh yeah, and it's high-grade stuff too.
Yeah.
We're talking over an ounce of gold per ton of ore.
That's impressive. Way above the average.
For sure. It's like finding a gold nugget the size of, I don't know, a baseball in every carload of rock.
That's a great way to put it. Makes it much easier to visualize.
Right. So they've got the gold, but how do they actually get it out of the rock?
Well, it's definitely not panning like the old days.
Yeah, I figured. What's the process these days?
It's a multi-stage thing.
Okay.
They start with flotation.
Okay, but how does that even work?
It's pretty interesting, actually. They basically grind up the ore and mix it with water and chemicals. The gold particles attach to bubbles and float to the top, separating from the rest of the rock.
That's cool. Sounds pretty efficient.
It is, and North Bay is getting great recovery rates, but they're not stopping there.
Oh, what else are they doing?
They're also using something called a gravity circuit at their Bishop Gold Mill.
Gravity circuit. What's that?
Well, it uses the density of gold to separate it. You know, gold is heavy, sinks to the bottom.
Oh, makes sense.
And to boost this process even further, they just got some new equipment.
New equipment. Always a good sign. What did they get?
They got a Nunson bowl and a Gemini shaker table from Ruby Gold Mines, or RGI.
What do those do?
They're pretty specialized tools. Basically, they help fine-tune that whole gravity separation process.
So they're leaving no gold behind.
Exactly. Every little flake.
Now, have they actually sold any of this gold yet?
They've already shipped some concentrate from that gravity circuit process to a refinery in Reno.
Okay.
Now they're just waiting for the evaluation and then hopefully the sale.
Fingers crossed. But there's this one thing that really caught my eye, this potential partnership with RGI, the company they bought the equipment from. There's got to be more to that.
Yeah, that's definitely something to watch. They're definitely in talks.
Interesting. Okay, before we get into that, let's back up a bit. You mentioned the Fran Gold Project is huge. How big are we talking?
Huge. It covers over 34,000 acres.
Wow. That's bigger than a lot of towns.
It is, and it's right next to Centerra Gold's Mount Milligan mine.
Being next to a big player like that must have its perks, right?
Oh, absolutely. Think about things like transportation, power, even skilled labor. Being near Mount Milligan could streamline North Bay's operations and save them money.
Makes sense. So it's not just about the gold in the ground, it's the location too.
Huh?
So how long has the Fran Gold Project been around? Have they been exploring this area for a long time?
Quite a bit of exploration's already been done, over 50,000 feet of drilling.
50,000 feet.
Yeah, across 104 holes, mostly in the Bullion Alley zone. The results have been pretty impressive.
So what exactly have they found? Is it one big gold deposit or several smaller ones?
Think of it like this. A massive gold deposit stretching over 3,700 feet long, up to 120 feet wide, and going down over 700 feet.
Whoa, that's a serious amount of gold. And what kind of grades are we talking within those veins? Are they consistent with what they're pulling out now?
Some drilling results have shown grades as high as 2.6 ounces per ton.
That's incredible.
And they've found a subzone near the surface where the veins are even wider and easier to get to.
So they might not even need to dig as deep to get at that high-grade gold.
Exactly. That means lower costs and potentially quicker profits.
This is already shaping up to be a fascinating deep dive. I'm eager to hear more about that potential partnership with RGI. But before we do, you mentioned Fran Gold isn't just about gold, right?
You're right. Some samples have shown good amounts of silver, up to 5.1 ounces per ton, and copper, too, as high as 1.68%.
So this project could be a multi-metal mine.
It's looking that way. And they've got around 5,000 tons of surface material ready to go. They're in a great position. Those high gold grades, new equipment, and that potential partnership, they're making waves in the industry.
All right, let's unpack that potential partnership with RGI a bit more. What are the key things that could make or break this deal? What are the benefits and the risks for North Bay?
Well, let's start with the positives. This partnership could give them access to RGI's know-how and tech, which could help streamline their operations and boost gold recovery even more.
Yeah, RGI seems like they know their stuff. But what about the risks? Could it, depending too much on RGI, backfire for North Bay?
That's a valid concern. North Bay needs to be careful with the terms of any agreement, make sure it aligns with their goals in the long run.
So this partnership will require North Bay to be strategic. Lots to gain, but lots to think about, too.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big decision, could have a huge impact on their future.
All right, before we move on, you said Fran Gold wasn't just about gold.
That's right. Some samples showed decent amounts of silver, up to 5.1 ounces per ton, and even copper hitting levels as high as 1.68%.
So this project has the potential to be a multi-metal mine. It's like North Bay hit the jackpot. And with those 5,000 tons of surface material ready to be processed, they've got plenty to work with.
Oh, yeah, they definitely do. With those impressive gold grades, the new equipment, and the potential for a partnership, North Bay is making some serious moves in the gold mining world.
So North Bay has options, right? They've got the gold, they've got the equipment, and they've got potential partners. What's next?
We're all waiting for those final concentrate assays. They'll give us a clearer picture of the gold and silver content. That's key information for investors, and of course for any potential partners.
So those assays, those could be a big deal for North Bay.
Oh, for sure.
You think they could become a major player if these results are good?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
If they keep hitting those high grades and manage to scale up their operations, they could be a real force in the industry.
Now, we talked about Fran Gold being right next to Centerra Gold's Mount Milligan mine. Being that close to a big operation like that has got to have some advantages. How do you think North Bay might be benefiting from that?
It's like having a helpful neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Mount Milligan has all that infrastructure already in place, roads, power lines, even a rail spur. North Bay could tap into some of that, save time and money.
Like a built-in mentor almost.
Exactly. And think about the knowledge transfer, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Being close to a mine like Mount Milligan, there's so much to learn. There might even be opportunities to collaborate down the line, you know? Like, what if North Bay could use Centerra's processing facilities or their transportation network? That could really boost their growth.
So it's a pretty sweet setup. But let's look at the other side of the coin for a second. Are there any downsides to being so close to a mining giant?
Well, there's always the risk of being overshadowed, right?
Right.
Centerra's a big company, lots of resources. They might not love having a new competitor so close by.
So North Bay needs to stand out, find their own niche.
Exactly. They'll need to highlight what makes them unique, whether it's those high-grade deposits, their processing methods, or their commitment to sustainability.
Speaking of sustainability, have you heard anything about North Bay's environmental practices?
That's a great question. It's definitely top of mind for investors these days. From what I've seen, North Bay seems to be taking responsible mining seriously.
Okay.
They've mentioned things like reclamation plans, efficient water use, reducing their carbon footprint, that sort of thing.
Sounds like they're taking a comprehensive approach, thinking about the environment and the community.
Yeah, that's really the future of mining, isn't it? Companies that prioritize sustainability are the ones that'll thrive in the long run.
It really seems like North Bay is hitting all the right notes. Impressive grades, strategic location, a potential partnership, and a commitment to doing things the right way.
They're definitely making smart moves,
Yeah.
but their success is going to depend on a few things.
Like what?
Will those final assays confirm those high gold and silver numbers? Will they navigate this partnership with RGI effectively? And can they scale up their operation while staying committed to responsible mining? Those are the big questions.
So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah, exactly.
But this deep dive has been fascinating. What stands out to you as the most intriguing part of North Bay's story?
For me, it's the potential partnership with RGI. Those kinds of strategic alliances can be game changers in this industry. If they can make it work, combine their expertise and resources, they could become a real power player in the gold market.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities. And with all this renewed interest in gold globally, they're in a good spot.
Oh, absolutely. Investors are looking at gold as a safe haven asset, a hedge against all the uncertainty in the world.
And companies like North Bay are ready to ride that wave.
For sure, it's like a modern-day gold rush, but this time it's driven by technology and innovation, and North Bay is leading the charge.
Well said. Now let's talk about those assays again.
Yeah.
We know those results are going to be crucial. What should we be looking for specifically when those numbers come out?
First things first, those gold and silver grades.
Right.
Do they match up with the initial estimates, or are there any surprises?
Those grades are going to be a big indicator of profitability. What else?
Recovery rates are important too. How much gold and silver can they actually extract from the ore?
Makes sense.
The higher that recovery rate, the more efficient and profitable the operation will be.
So those are two key things to watch for. Anything else we should be looking out for in those reports? Any red flags or green lights?
One thing that's often missed is the presence of other elements or minerals in the ore. Some minerals can make processing more difficult or more expensive, so that's something to keep in mind.
So it's not just about the gold and silver, it's about what else is in there, too.
Yeah, exactly. A good look at those assay reports will give us a much better understanding of the Fran Gold project's true potential.
Well, I'll be keeping an eye out for those results for sure. Sounds like we'll have a lot more to discuss when they come out.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how those results shape their next steps.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
It has.
We've covered a lot, the challenges of working in the winter, the process of getting the gold out, the potential partnership, the global gold market, and those upcoming assays.
Yeah.
What would you say is the key takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the biggest thing is that North Bay Resources is a company to watch. They're doing things differently, taking risks, and they're committed to responsible mining.
And who knows, maybe in a few years we'll look back and say, remember when North Bay was just starting out?
Yeah. Look at them now.
That would be something.
It would.
It's really been cool to get this look at a company that could, really make a name for itself in gold mining.
Yeah, definitely. It shows how dynamic things are in the sector right now. You've got this renewed interest in gold, plus all the advances in tech, and then you've got companies like North Bay pushing the limits.
And it's interesting how their story ties into, the bigger picture.
Oh, absolutely. When you zoom out, you see the global demand for gold just increasing, especially from places like China and India.
And that demand's only going to go up with, all the uncertainty in the world.
Exactly. Gold's always been that safe haven, that hedge against inflation and everything. And with all the volatility we're seeing, people naturally turn to gold.
So companies like North Bay, sitting on all that potential gold, they're in a prime spot to benefit.
For sure. If they play it right, the next few years could be huge for them.
It's kind of like being in the right place at the right time can really make a difference.
Totally. And North Bay seems to have it all. A great asset, a smart location, a good team, and a little bit of luck on their side with the timing.
Well, we've covered a ton in this deep dive. Winter operations, gold extraction, the partnership, the global market, everything. What's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from all this?
I'd say the biggest takeaway is this. North Bay Resources is one to watch. They're doing things differently, taking chances, but also they're committed to responsible mining.
And hey, maybe in a few years we'll look back on this and say, remember when they were just getting started?
Right. And now look at them.
That would be awesome. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for coming along with us on this exploration of gold mining.
It was great to be here.
Hope you learned something new, maybe even got a little bit interested in the industry. And if you want to learn more, definitely dig a little deeper into North Bay Resources and that Fran Gold project. Until next time, keep exploring.